Hi, everybody. My name is Fraser Cain. I am the publisher of Universe Today, and this is your virtual star party for September 30th, 2012. This is going to be the full moon edition. We've got a gigantic, bright full moon right now with only a tiny little bit of craters that we can see on the very bottom of the moon. So joining us this week, we've got a whole lot of astronomers again. And so let me just run through everybody we've got here. So we've got Bill McLaughlin, who's joining us from Oregon. I don't know if Bill, can you go back to your camera for a second? So we can see you. There he is. You wave to the crowd. And we've got David Dickinson, who, man, where are you, David? I don't think where he is.
David's in Florida.
Is he in Florida? That's right. That's right. He complains about looking through to the sky through soupy liquid atmosphere. We got Gary Gonella in California.
Everybody.
We've got Mike Chasin in the San Diego area. We've got Roy Salisbury, who is in Las Vegas, operating his remote telescope from Arizona. And we got Stuart Forman, who is hitting us with his light in... Okay. Yeah, hitting us with this light in the San Francisco area. And then for color commentary, we've got my partner in crime from Astronomy Cast, Dr. Pamela Gay. Pamela.
Good evening.
And we've got Scott Lewis, who's in the Los Angeles area.
Hi, everyone.
And also we've got Thad Szabo, who is also in the Los Angeles area. Dr. Thad Szabo. So we've got two PhDs tonight. And it would be great to see Pamela and Thad sort of tag team explaining. This will be great.
He's not jet lagged, so he has the definite advantage this evening.
Okay.
Okay, great. So let's go back to the moon for now. So if you've never joined one of our star parties before, this is kind of how this works. Is that we've got right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6 live telescopes operating in various parts of the world, mostly various parts of North America. And so we're going to be broadcasting a live view of the night sky, and we're going to sort of showcase all of the objects that are up sort of in the sky tonight for the various people. We get what we get when we get the seeing that we get and the position of the moon, which is going to be washing out a lot of the darker, fainter objects. So it's going to be a very... This is the time that most astronomers don't even bother setting up their telescopes. So
this is actually when we schedule a lot of astronomical conferences.
Yeah, during the full moon, and so the full moon just gets so bright and washes out a lot of the faint objects. So a lot of astronomers don't really like to do this. So yeah, but we're happy to take requests, and so if there's some specific object that you want to see, we'll be glad if it's up. We'll try and showcase it, and we'll move through a bunch of objects, and we'll explain the science, and we'll explain the technology that people are using, and how you can get into the hobby as well. So. If you want to ask any questions tonight, there's a bunch of ways that you can do it. If you're watching this on the event page, you can just post your question there, and we'll get it. I see those as red. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can post a question right there in the YouTube comments, and we'll be able to catch those. If you're watching this just on the Google Plus page or one of the reshared versions, we'll be able to get that as well. And then if you're watching this embedded somewhere, you can use Twitter, of course, and you can just use the hashtag #StarParty, and we'll be able to watch this. So that's weird. People are saying that we're not live on Google Plus. Oh, maybe they just need to reload it. That's one of the problems. I can't ask people if they can't see us.
Or in the event page that you have up there, did you change the URL for that?
I did, but people have to reload the page.
Okay.
So. But I think people have said that on the page that they have to reload it. So hopefully they'll start. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, let's get started tonight. So what kinds of objects? What constellations and stuff are up for us tonight? If you were observing in late September, early October time, what would you be looking at? Who wants to take that one on?
Well, I
Depends
guess
on where you're at.
Yeah.
Thad, why don't you? Well, in this case, we're very West Coast heavy here. But Thad, what would you be looking at?
So I mean, the Milky Way is really prevalent directly overhead. if it wasn't a full moon tonight, right after sunset at this time of year, so you kind of have the summer triangle straddling the zenith, with Deneb a little bit to the east, Vega a little bit to the west, and the Milky Way running essentially from your southwest horizon straight up overhead into your northeast horizon. So that would be, if it weren't a full moon, that would be what's really dominating the sky. But you also have Pegasus and Andromeda starting to come up in the east, so you get some good globular clusters there. You get some really good galaxies. Let's see.
Stuart's telescope turning right now. Yeah, Andromeda is great. Yeah, I mean,
Sorry about that.
Yeah, Pegasus is great. It's this big square that you'll see in the east, and Andromeda is sort of these three stars that make this, not a line exactly, but once you notice them, you'll really get to know them, and it's a great way to find the Andromeda Galaxy, which is right in there.
Slightly upturned line from the northern hemisphere, and I guess slightly downturned from the southern hemisphere. So,
yeah. And so we're probably going to be looking at a lot of objects sort of in this region, right? We'll definitely be looking at Andromeda. The galaxy in Triangulum that a lot of people are always asking us for is now positioned, and we'll be able to start getting it, though it's still fairly low on the horizon. We still have a lot of the objects in the summer triangle, which is the Deneb and Altair and Vega, so it's a good time for all those objects. So that's kind of the range of the sky that we'll probably be looking at tonight.
yeah, M33 might be a little washed out, but the nice thing with having some of these CCD cameras and DSLRs is that you can always kind of stretch the levels and bring it into view. That's something you can't do with your eye. So that is one advantage we have here with the virtual star party.
And so then, so why don't we get started then? So let's just go to what Gary's got. One of the classics.
Yep, the M16 Eagle Nebula. And an interesting thing for those that might want to get into this, if you look careful, you'll see a lot of little speckles in the picture. I can see them here. I don't know if they're showing up. I forgot to turn the cooler on in the camera. And it's about 85 degrees here. And so I'm going to bring it down to minus 15 C. It's 85 Fahrenheit. But yeah, I took this one and went, what are all little, oh, forgot to turn the cooler on. Anyway, we've got the Eagle Nebula with the famous pillars of creation.
So to explain a little bit better what he means by he forgot to turn the cooler on is it turns out that the electrons that get stored in each pixel will jump around violently and will build up on their own if the CCD is hot. So by cooling off the CCD, we're able to get rid of background noise that you see otherwise. If you've ever taken a really low-light picture with your personal camera, you've noticed that the background's usually modeled all sorts of different colors and isn't a nice solid black. That's the exact same type of thermal noise that you see in this image.
It was really hot today. Well. It was very hot today. It was 108, I want to say.
Yes, it was.
So yeah. The change in temperature is kind of big.
Even here on the coast, it was pretty warm and humid, so... Even we had air conditioning running right next to the ocean here, so...
That's really cool. And so, Mike, what have you got? That looks like a different object.
That one is the Wizard Nebula. This is one of those ones where it's kind of a test to see how good you are at your nebula skills. It's really obvious to me because I'm pointing at my monitor, but for those of us who can't see me with my finger there, because I do this a lot at home, you can kind of see in the middle of the nebula there's a little pointy triangular shape. Down from that is a nose kind of pointing off towards the right. And if you're really good with your imagination, there's a darker part through the white cloud of nebulosity that's a hand reaching out. So this is NGC 7380. This is largely an emission nebula, so it glows nice and red. It's a real good shot through hydrogen alpha, which is what this is, a 5-minute shot. And if you look really closely, you can see that wizard in profile, his right hand out, and some people even think he's throwing something into a pot. Maybe they've had too much pot. I don't know.
How big of an object is it? I would be interested to see what it looks like in Gary's view. This might be a good one for Gary as well. Is this in hydrogen alpha right now or not?
Yeah, it's a 5-minute hydrogen alpha. My field of view is about 60 by 80 arc minutes. So, boy,
this object's about 100 light years across and about 8,000 light years away.
I've never even seen it. This is the first for us tonight.
Excellent.
NGC on it?
7380.
7380. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if only we could get a planetary nebula to form in where the hand is, so it would look like he's kind of holding a globe up or something like that. I mean, we can wait around another 20, 30, 100,000, couple million years. Maybe it'll happen.
Well, where his hand is being held out, that's actually an open cluster, so there is plenty of likelihood that some of those stars are going to do something even more interesting than planetary nebula. So maybe you can have an exploding fireball of a supernova instead.
That's really cool. So got a question from Brian Simpson about the Eagle Nebula. I know you take long exposures, but are the pillars visible live through a telescope? Good question. So if people don't know what we're sort of, let me unpack that a little bit here. So as Brian said, we don't take with the moon. You can see here that David's got. That's a live video view of the moon. But with the deeper sky objects like the Eagle Nebula, we don't do them as like a single frame, or we don't do them in live video. We do them as a bit of a longer exposure, so you can sort of gather up a bunch of electrons. So in this case, Gary usually does about a 2-minute exposure. And so you saw that image of the pillars of creation. I don't know, if you look through a telescope, will you see the pillars? Like if you just look through like a really big telescope, right?
It's been so long since I've done visual, I can't remember whether I've been able to see the pillars. See, I pulled out my notebook that I've been keeping since 1987 to see if I have any sketches of it from when I was like 15 or 16 years old, to see if I could tell from that whether I could see the pillars. But,
I don't think you can. They're very small.
Yeah.
They're small, and the contrast is not terribly high because the eye works on a logarithmic scale.
Yeah.
So for every multiple increase in photons, your eye adjusts a little bit, as opposed to the way CCD cameras work, where it's linear. So a big multiple jump in the number of photons you get shows up as much higher contrast.
So let's switch over to what Bill's got then. So we're 2 objects down so far, Bill, and 1 brand new object for a star party. So thanks, Mike. That was really great to see something brand new. So Bill, what have you got here? Can you hear me, Bill? Does anybody recognize what he's got here? Did he name it?
Is that part of the veil? No, that's Roy.
Yeah, Roy's got the veil.
It's something really big.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, let's move on then. Let's go back to Roy then, because Roy does have the veil right now.
This is actually the portion of the Eastern Veil Nebula.
And so what's this?
Okay, I'm up now, by the way.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll just go. Okay, we'll come back over then. Here, let's just check this out.
Gamma Cygni is what we're looking at on mine.
Gamma Cygni?
Yeah, it's up in Cygnus. It's a hydrogen alpha nebula right near Pelican and North American. The NGC number is...
I don't know if it is an NGC.
It's right around Satyr.
Yeah.
Satyr, as a matter of fact, that's the bright star you're seeing in the middle there.
I should recognize this. I spent all summer shooting it.
Well, sometimes it all depends on the orientation, right? You just got to look upside down and maybe
that's a 2-minute image through a 3-nanometer hydrogen alpha.
Okay, I see it now.
Right. Matthew Scott wanted to know if we're doing the moon. There's the moon. So just to sort of warn people, it's essentially a full moon right now, and so for the entire moon, there's like no features that you can really see because we're seeing the light straight onto the moon. But you can see a little bit around the edges of the moon where some of the objects are still in shadow, and so David is giving us some of the limb of the moon here. You can see some of these craters, and that is about as much moon as we can do. Max U is wondering why we're only black and white. We actually have 1 color camera right now. I'm going to switch over to that right now, and this is Stuart Forman's view. Stuart's running color.
Yeah, I'm having a little trouble with some star smearing, and I'm right now repolar aligning. This is a 30-second view of M13. I was just doing it as a test. and for some reason I'm not getting good tracking today, so I'm kind of resetting everything right now. But with this 30-second view, you're not going to see a lot of different colors in the stars, but with a longer view, it's actually quite pretty, and you can see different colors within the star cluster itself.
Could you at some point try and get some of the stuff that really pops with color, like Albireo and
you bet. Absolutely. I'm just
and
like
the Ring Nebula and Dumbbell and stuff. That would be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, and everyone's updated now, so let's go back around.
Oh, just as an aside, mine is not a current image, but we were talking about Wizard Nebula earlier, so I brought up this long exposure of the Wizard Nebula on mine.
That's stunning.
Yeah. Oh, now I see the wizard.
Yeah.
That's like many hours.
To see the wizard.
Yeah.
He's sort of falling hand first through the image currently.
Mm-hmm. There's a good example of pareidolia right about, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but right about here in the image. It looks like a pointing hand.
Yep. What are those? I mean, you see that kind of feature in a lot of these nebulae. You can see these, like a little bright speck, and then these dark regions that seem to be streaming away.
Well,
what is that?
those are clouds of gas that are condensing down to form stars, and one of the reasons you often have a star at the end is that's just where a star has finally poked its way out of the star forming area. You also find all sorts of cocoons and proplyds throughout these, which are just little cocoons of gas.
And Mike, have you gone to color?
I did. That is a actually it's 4 30-second exposures through a clear, a red, a green, and a blue filter. This is M24, which is an open cluster, and the reason why I like it isn't so much that it's it's an open cluster, is it's right in the heart of Sagittarius, so it's aimed very close to the center of our Milky Way galaxy. And the field, with just 2 minutes, is just awash with thousands and thousands of stars. And off to the left, you can see a little bit of a dark cloud blocking out some of the light from the stars behind it. So with just a few seconds here, you can see just a stunning array of stars.
Yeah, and that's a really beautiful area to examine with binoculars. I mean, one of the real treats with the summertime is that you get a view of the core of the Milky Way, and if you have binoculars, it's just full of stars. It's really nice. What was the question? Oh, so got a question from Adam Tyler. Why did globular clusters like M13 either not collapse under their own gravitation or assume a disk shape? Pamela.
Well, they don't form a disk shape because they don't have the angular momentum to flatten them down. The reason they don't collapse down is actually due to three-body interactions. What happens is you end up with a lot of situations where binary stars will have a third star intersect them, and one of the three-body interactions is to fling one of the stars out of the three-body, and this has the effect of constantly reinflating globulars. So if you watch globulars long enough, they actually appear to beat in and out, sort of like a heartbeat, and it's strictly due to the constant re-flinging of stars. Reheating is another way of thinking about it, due to these three-body interactions.
So let's go back to Gary and sort of see what Gary's got going on. But also I got a question here. I got two questions. One is, does somebody want to talk a bit about Comet Ison? Has anyone done any research into Comet Ison yet, or should I talk about it? Is it going to be me? Anybody?
It's going to be you.
It's going to be me? Okay, all right. I don't have a lot to say, but there's a newly discovered comet called Comet Ison. It's discovered out past the orbit of Jupiter right now. Someone wanted to know about this. And it's going to be approaching the sun very close, probably within, I think, 2 million kilometers of the sun in 2013, so next year. And when a comet does this, there's a chance that it will, if it holds together and doesn't get torn apart, it'll brighten up considerably. And the estimates that we're getting from some people is it'll be a non-event. There'll be nothing that'll happen and you'll never hear about it again, or it will be the brightest comet in living memory, probably upwards of as bright as 15 times the brightness of the full moon. So Wow.
Is that going to have a close approach to the Earth, or is it just bright?
No, it's not going to have a close approach to the Earth, but it's just going to get so close to the sun that it's going to really get brightened up significantly. So there's too many variables to know what's going to happen, whether it's going to hold together, whether it's going to fall apart, whether it's going to brighten up, whether not, what the consistency is. This, might just get eaten by the sun. We don't really know. So the possibility though is that next year we could have a really bright comet. Like brighter than, you remember, I don't know if you all remember like Hale-Bopp and Hyakutake. This could be brighter than them by far.
I mean, I remember McNaught from the Northern Hemisphere here in January of 2007, and actually got video of it even in the glare of sunset. I have a video of it setting on January 12th, 2007. So you could kind of see the tail of it sliding down a palm tree on the horizon in the video that I got of it. And that reached magnitude, if I remember correctly, -6. It was visible during the day from Mount Wilson. So Scott, I guess if you were... I don't know if you were around there at that time, but...
I was not in California at that time.
Not in California.
And that's the one thing with the magnitudes, too, that your numbers, as they go down, the brighter they are. I know that gets confusing when we're talking about it, but the lower the number, the brighter the object.
Yeah. Yeah, so this will be... I know Star Trek is mentioning it's a pretty variable prediction range. Yeah, this is the problem. So, this is cool. Okay, so Paul Cox over at the folks at... they also broadcast from the SLU telescope. They're going to try and broadcast live view of ISIN in about an hour. So when we're done, they're going to go on. So right now it's magnitude 18, so it's not going to be very bright. So thanks, Paul. Okay, great. Well, let's move on. So Gary, what have you got here?
This is NGC 6604, which is an open cluster and I'm going to destroy this, Serpens Cauda.
No, that sounds right.
Wow. But what I like is all the nebulosity in the area. This has got to be the open cluster they're talking about.
Yeah.
There's some really great stuff in here.
Yeah, that looks really nice. And what is that? What is that though? That part?
I don't have a designation for it. It's a nebula.
It's not an open cluster, but it's very cute.
Yep.
Looks nebulae.
So the thing about open clusters is they're very young, and there's often still leftover gas and dust that hasn't gone into star formation yet. So that could be a section of star formation. You often find what are called H2 regions. This is ionized hydrogen that ends up glowing red as it reabsorbs electrons, so it's no longer ionized, of course, when it glows red. This is likely another one of these ionized regions or some other sort of nebulosity that's near the open cluster.
So, Gary, are you shooting through an H-alpha filter?
Yeah, I am. 12 nanometer.
Okay. Yep, then most definitely. That's exactly what Pamela said.
Okay, so someone just wanted to see Albireo, and it looks like we've got it happening right now.
Yes.
So, look at that. I can see you've got the tracking. Yeah, it is. You got a little bit of star trailing there.
Yeah,
Stuart.
I'm not sure what my problem is tonight, but hopefully it'll fix.
Not so bad for bright objects like this. Yeah.
Oh, so Scott's going to take us on a tour here to show you where Albireo is, and then you can see that it should
zoom out here for a second.
Okay.
And so there's Vulpecula here, and we're at just tip of Cygnus and Lyra. And zoom on in. There's Albireo. And you can see they can actually separate there.
It's listed as Beta Cygni, which, according to the convention, means it's supposed to be the second brightest star in the constellation Cygnus, but by far it isn't. There's Gamma, Epsilon, and Delta, I'm pretty sure, are all brighter, and of course Deneb. But of all of them, yeah, none are quite this pretty.
Yeah, this is a fantastic object. We go into this every week. I forget. It is a true binary star, right?
We're not
I don't
sure.
think so. I'm pretty sure this one's a double.
Yeah, just an optical double.
It's an optical double, so they're not actually orbiting one another.
No.
My wife will be disappointed in that because it's in our wedding rings.
You've actually got the
so you just appear together.
Yeah, sapphire and topaz. So
that's really cool. I actually saw on eBay someone had made wedding rings out of meteorites, out of metal meteorites. I've got an iron meteorite. I don't know if people can see this here. Let me just. You can see that there. You can order them on eBay if you want, like a gift to give people that'll just blow their mind. You can buy a. I'm gonna go back to Alberio. You can buy an iron meteorite on eBay for like $5, and it's just the coolest thing. It's wonderful. I hang on to it all the time. It's my fiddle toy. Is a piece of space metal, and someone's made a wedding ring out of them. So,
well, to be fair, you're a piece of space metal too.
That's true.
That's true.
We're all made of star stuff, right?
That's true.
Yeah, except for the hydrogen and attached to all those molecules. Yeah, everything else is a metal.
Well, the carbon could have come from many different things.
But ultimately, I mean, either
it's true. It's all stars. It's
planetary
not
or
supernova.
Right.
So I got a couple of questions here. So people want to know. I got a couple of questions about planetarium software, and so we're running Stellarium, and so why don't you we'll go back to Scott here, and you can see what Stellarium looks like. Yeah, that's what Scott looks like.
I'm not as cool as Stellarium is.
Yeah, Stellarium, completely free, available on Linux, Mac, PC. It's a fantastic piece of software and absolutely wonderful. It can.
We get to do great things like remove the atmosphere, so that's why I'm able to see all these amazing things.
Yeah.
Plus, I can look at what stuff in the southern hemisphere would be too. So I can remove the ground, and you have Star Pack. It's free. It's wonderful.
Yeah, you can add different levels of deep sky objects, different brightness, different galaxies, things like that. So it's a fantastic piece of software.
My students were telling me this past Friday that you can get it for the Droid for $2, and I guess it's also available for iOS.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it's the beginning and the end of what you need for this kind of thing. I don't know if it'll control a telescope though.
It does not with the Android. I know it doesn't control it.
I know some of them will. All right, well, we're backing up here, so let's get quickly through this, and then we're going to do a technology discussion for a second here. So first, I want to go to Mike's got. So Mike, I'm guessing this is Andromeda.
You are guessing correctly. This is going to be my last RGB attempt of the night. You can really see the effect of the moon coming up there. It took a little bit of teasing there to try and get it to look like this, and unfortunately, I didn't use a key piece of technology called a rotator. So we have the galaxy sitting on its head, on its end, rather than the way I would try to do this normally, which would be to rotate it 45 or 90 degrees.
Still, it's beautiful, but you can see are the different filter wheels changing? Because they don't look like the colors are exactly lined up. Is that from the moon?
What I did is I took, again, about 30-second exposures through just red, a green, and a blue, is I real quickly align all those with a program called CCD Stack. It uses its amazing algorithms to get all the stars lined up just so. Then it creates a quick color image. I transfer it off the observatory to the computer, to the one on my desk, tried to dampen down the background as much as I could, but it has a hard time deciding between the glow of the galaxy and the background illumination of it. But you can still see the hints of those dust lanes, those dark smears running vertically. Those are actually there. That's clouds of dust blocking the light of the galaxy. And I believe those are two other galaxies, one at about the 3 o'clock or 2:30 position, and another one at about the 8 o'clock position. Does anyone know what those are?
Those are the dwarf galaxies that orbit Andromeda. I guess if I remember correctly, it's M32 at about 8 o'clock and M110 at about between the 2 and 3 o'clock position in your photo.
Wow.
And what's interesting is if you compare this to your Mac OS X backdrop, not for Mountain Lion, but for the prior OS, Apple erased one of those galaxies.
Oh, that's
funny. It wasn't considered aesthetically nice enough.
So it needed to be removed.
Yes.
Right.
But I do know.
Fraser,
go ahead. I do know of astrophotographers who will go into Apple stores and then upload their own version to put the Galaxy back in. So, yeah,
that's perfect.
That'll show them. That's fantastic. Oh man, but that is an absolutely beautiful picture, and I would love Gary if you could get your version of Andromeda too, because it's just such
I'll put it on the list.
Yeah, that would be great. So maybe we'll get that later. And speaking of and. Bill, I keep wanting to flash over to you, but you've disappeared again.
Oh, I've disappeared again?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got my image up. I think I should have.
It's got a gray screen, but we'll talk about what Gary's got right now, and then we'll come back to you in a second. So, Gary, what have you got?
Well, you should recognize this. This is the 7380 that we saw earlier.
Was this the Wizard again?
Yeah.
Yeah, was it Bill that shot that?
Yeah.
So this is my version of it.
This is going on the list. This is fantastic, Gary.
And that's 2-minute exposure.
Yeah.
You're still cooling off, aren't you?
No, I'm down pretty good. There's a little bit of noise in there. I'm not doing any noise subtraction or anything right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. It's great. All right, so now I'm going to go to Bill. So, Bill, what have we got?
That's the Pac-Man Nebula.
Oh, great.
NGC 891.
I totally see it if I turn my head.
Yeah, you kind of have to. I can rotate it.
We all love the Pac-Man.
Where's the Pac-Man Nebula located?
It is... Well, I'm on the next one now. I'll have to look.
Well, Scott can look it up.
It's Cepheus or Cassiopeia, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in that general area,
yeah.
It's right in here.
Right, okay.
So that's a 5-minute H-alpha.
And remember, anyone watching, if you know your sky, we're glad to take requests. But otherwise, we'll just keep moving on to the things that we want to see. But if you've got something that you want to see, we're happy to. I'll just warn you in advance, for planets, we're still waiting for Jupiter to rise. David might be able to get Jupiter in a little while because he's in Florida. For everyone else, I think it won't be rising until about 11 midnight or so before you can really see it. So within a month or so, we'll have Jupiter as a regular participant in every one of these star parties for months and months, so don't worry. Saturn has already gone down for most of us. Mars too, so we're going to not be seeing them for probably 4 or 5 months, probably not till spring till we get them back. And I'm trying to think what else we will want. Venus is up in everything. Venus is up in the morning, so it's still a morning object now. So we'll wait for for Ahmet to join us on that one. And then and so it's like I said, bright full moon tonight. So it's not going to be nice moon viewing for another probably 3 weeks or so. And Orion Nebula, we won't get the Orion Nebula for probably another 2 months,
month and a half,
yeah.
Yeah, it should be coming up fairly soon.
So we got a request for Uranus and Neptune. They're up. They're actually sort of quite close to the moon, but the only person who can really reveal them quite well is Mike Phillips, and he hasn't joined us tonight. So, and he wouldn't go near them with a full moon like this. So, if you look about 3 weeks ago, we had both Uranus and Neptune, which was great. We've had Pluto too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, Uranus is almost right. It's right next. It's in conjunction with the moon tonight. So, not that you're going to go out and walk it. Oh, there's the moon. There's Uranus. But
yeah,
just for background, yeah, it's pretty much right next to the moon tonight.
So don't people say that they can see Uranus if they isn't that like a test of your eyesight?
Yeah, I mean it's magnitude between magnitude 5.5 and magnitude 6 when it's closest to the Earth as it is now. But the thing is, you'd have to know exactly what you're looking for because at that magnitude, I mean, it'd be very easy to just mistake it for just another star. And it's so faint. I mean, if you look at it with a telescope, you can bring out that green color from the methane in the atmosphere. But just looking with the naked eye, and no, it's not going to trigger the cones. You're not going to pick out the color to help you identify it.
So I've got a couple of requests here. M37. I don't know where M37 is.
Is that an Auriga?
It's down. Sure.
It's
I think it's an Auriga.
Okay. Yeah. Kepler 33.
One of the coming up with the esoteric ones.
Yeah, one of these stars that has exoplanets, and I mean the Kepler field. Yeah, the Kepler field is up.
Yeah, M83.
But it'll just look like a star.
It'll look like a star, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with the Kepler field is it's really just stars.
Yeah, so you see the stars here in Roy's view of the. I think this is the elephant trunk, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got the elephant trunk nebula here, which is what's a dark nebula?
Mm-hmm. Yep, dark molecular clouds in front of an emission nebula. So another H2 region that Pamela had mentioned earlier.
This is a 2-minute in hydrogen alpha.
but then you have this cooler, dark material that's blocking the light from behind it. So it's kind of etched out in the negative of this bright hydrogen region. So.
Oh, now, and I promise we're not being compensated in any way, but if you go to woot.com today, they're selling a T3i camera for a ludicrously cheap price. Just so awful. It was $399 with the better lens kit. So I don't know what you paid, Pamela. I paid about $900 for mine.
Yeah, well, it's because they've now come out with the T4i.
Yeah. So a lot of the camera. So for example, what Stuart's using, you're using a T1, right, Stuart?
Correct.
Yeah. So a few versions newer, and a lot of us really like to use those for our astrophotography because it gives you full color, which is nice. So you're seeing a lot of these are in monochrome. You get much better detail, but you don't get the colors. And so anyway, it's a great camera for doing astrophotography, and it's on woot.com, and it makes me wish I waited a year. But I guess that's how technology works, right? So, woot.com, I want my money, please. All right, man, so many good things to see here. Okay, so let's go back to what Gary's got.
Okay, this is NGC 6974, and it is part of the Veil complex.
So the Veil Nebula is well, it's as Gary said, it's a whole complex, and this is a very large supernova remnant that has just had time to spread itself all across the sky.
Bunch of questions here. Okay, so it's got a request for the Saturn Nebula. That should be up, right?
Should be up, but again, it's a planetary, and I don't think anybody here really has the kind of field of view to bring out details in a planetary right now.
We've done it before, I think.
Yeah, but I think we had different telescopes with us because it's a little tiny dude.
I'm just saying.
That dude is tiny.
The double cluster in
Pegasus.
In Pegasus.
No, it's Perseus.
It's Perseus. Yeah. And then M57, is that up?
I'm working on M57 right now.
Oh, are you? Okay, great.
Yeah, hopefully I got my tracking fixed. I had re-leveled and repolar aligned and stuff. We'll see in about 13 seconds.
All right, so Bill has got another object up, so why don't we talk about this?
Yeah, that's NGC 896.
896, so what is that?
Another hydrogen alpha, obviously. I mean, since that's what I've got in here tonight.
Sadly, that's pretty much what everything is.
Yeah, tonight with the moon, that's pretty much the only thing that works very well.
It's called the Heart Nebula.
Right. Okay. You've done this one before, I think, Gary, haven't you?
Part of it. Yes, I have the heart, and there's also the soul is next to it.
Right. Right.
We could probably do it. We should do that.
What up, T? NGC 253.
Going to be very far to the south. That's in Sculptor. It's like a needle galaxy. It's an edge-on spiral, and it just looks like
it's on my horizon.
Yeah, it's way low. If we had a southern hemisphere scope up and running, we'd like in Chile or something, would be able.
Would
to
that be great? So. If there are any Chileans watching right now, that would be perfect. We would really like you to join us because they're a little bit ahead of us, right? And also give us a view of the southern sky. So that would be fantastic.
Yeah, they're 4 hours ahead.
So Sabine Jakob is watching. So if anyone has been following the Star Parties right from the beginning, he was the first person to join me, and actually was the first person to broadcast a view of the moon. And if you go back through the Virtual Star Party feed on the Universe Today YouTube channel, you'll get to that first episode where we're kind of excitedly looking at Jupiter and the moon. So anyway, so he's watching right now. He thought he might be joining us, but right now he's seeing Jupiter because he's in Romania. But he says he doesn't want to walk out into the park with his 18-kilogram telescope to get a view of it. So we'll wait until Jupiter goes past his window, which is good. Man, so what was the? Someone wanted to know what the camera I was talking about. I was talking about the T3i camera. I don't know if you have yours handy, Pamela, but anyway, it's a DSLR. It's a Canon's. It's a pretty nice DSLR, relatively inexpensive, $399 with a good lens. Anyway. Okay, right. Telescopes. So people want to know about our telescopes. So why don't we talk a bit about the telescopes? So we'll start with you, Bill. What telescope are you running?
Right now, I'm running the Takahashi FSQ 106, which is a 530 millimeter f5, about a 4-inch telescope. Very high quality optics, not particularly large or particularly fine detail or fine field of view.
But a Takahashi telescope is kind of like a Porsche of you're driving the Ferrari of telescopes.
Well, actually, the Ferrari was the one I have on my floor in the bedroom here, which is the 14-inch RCOS Ritchie. But
yes, that's true. Right now, he has the BMW out.
Yeah, this is kind of the BMW. But the one on the floor is a little bit too much luxury for the environment, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
So that one's gonna go here.
So it's too good for us, is what you're saying.
Well, it's too heavy for me. That's the problem. If you need to do any engineering work on the telescope, you have to take it down off the mount. And I've developed a bad back, and it weighs about 75 pounds. So it's almost impossible for me to deal with by myself.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I'm getting rid of it principally. And then the seeing is not good enough of the time to justify an instrument of that expense and focal length.
So Pamela, I just got a message from Kent Projaska about that space weather alert that you were mentioning just before we went live.
Yeah.
So did you want to just sort of explain, because this is sort of something that people might want to go and check out.
Yeah, so it's been predicted that a solar outburst earlier today is going to be momentarily hitting our atmosphere, causing massive aurora borealis. So if you're somewhere in the extreme northern or extreme southern latitudes, and it's dark, go out and look towards your respective poles. So either if you're on the southern hemisphere towards the South Pole, if you're on the northern hemisphere towards the North Pole, and there's a chance that you'll see anywhere from just faint green pillars to perhaps all sorts of multiple color images. If you go to spaceweather.com, there's people already sending in their photographs of the aurora that are taking place.
Yeah, so it's happening right now. So, but don't go. But look out.
Well, you take us with you on your laptop and enjoy the real sky and the virtual. Well, it's the real sky, but online all at the same time.
So this is great, and I mean, if you can't win if you don't play. So you got to get out there and you got to look to the north or look to the south and just wait and watch. And if you're lucky, you'll get a really beautiful view. We're gonna get a lot of these because we're entering the sun's solar maximum. And so over the next couple of years, we're going to have lots and lots of chances to see aurora. It's going to be great.
And for reasons that aren't entirely clear, March and October are favorable to aurora because of the alignment of the magnetic field. We're not entirely sure why this is a favorable alignment, but we know from past experience that it is.
I think the actual reason is that it's normally cloudy where Fraser and I are at during those months.
Unfortunately, that's not true globally. But
yeah, I think we saw the sun for the last time a couple of days ago, and then that's it. We'll see it again in May, I think. So Gary, this is your view of Andromeda, so thank you very much for bringing it up. And then also, can we get a look at your telescope, or have you got that?
Yep, we can do that right here.
That's you, Gary.
That's me. Hang on, I have to go through me to get to the scope. Where'd it go? There it is.
And David, if you can, there we go. Perfect.
That's what I'm using right now. Taking the pictures, Celestron 14-inch. And I've got the camera up in the front, so I'm using it with a fast star lens for a wide-angle view. And this is my guide scope on the top, which I'm not using at this point. It's permanently mounted, and a 2-minute picture, I don't need guiding. When I take the long exposures, 10, 15 minutes, I'll guide with that scope, and I'll lock that onto a star, and it'll continually adjust the telescope to stay in position.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then Mike, you've got a really cool setup. What's your setup? Have you got a picture of it too? Can you do that?
I should be sharing my desktop. Do you see that now?
No, also you.
Oh, you see his video. You definitely don't want to see that. Okay, so let's go to screen share to a desktop share.
That is a mighty mustache you've got going, Mike, though.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Just 4 more weeks to go, then we can shave it off as soon as the fundraiser is done. Thank goodness. October stash. Check it out on the web. Okay, can you see my telescope now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that is it. This is a Teleview 127, so 127 millimeter telescope, so about a 5-inch diameter scope. So it's a simple refractor, so just some curved glass like Galileo used. You can see it sitting on top of the mount there, and it is aimed up at the Cave Nebula. So you're looking a view from south to north. So let's see, I was doing about a 5-minute hydrogen alpha exposure of the cave, so we'll see how that came out. What is unique, or I guess perhaps not unique but unusual about this setup, is this is a roll-off roof observatory. It's not one of those really cool domes, but it's a simple aluminum garden shed sort of thing with a computerized roll-off roof, and I'm about 70 miles away from this, sitting comfortably in my home in San Diego, and this is out in the San Diego Astronomy Association club site, about 70 miles away from me. Fortunately, it did survive the fires from last week. If any of you saw my drama then, it came within about a quarter mile of the club site, so pretty darn close. Fortunately, I didn't burn this up, though. Burned up 11 nearby homes, but the observatory did well. One thing that was interesting there is that the power is not on 24/7 at the club site, so I have a small solar array and several batteries set up, so all this runs off of solar. So it's a very green observatory, which is kind of nice, too.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
And also being able to run it from the comfort of your own home. I think that's clearly the way of the future. I think Stuart has mightily climbed up the hill behind his house with a 300-foot cable so that he can broadcast his view. Is thinking that's sounding pretty nice right now.
No, that's great. And I am still doing battle with my mounts, so I'm a little preoccupied. But I have a Telescope Engineering Corporation 140 millimeter triplet refractor on an astrophysics mount, and I picked the astrophysics mount because it's portable. I can stick it in a wagon and pull it up the hill, and that's pretty much exactly what I do every week when I'm doing this. And as I'm talking to you, I'm on my knees looking up at Polaris, trying to double check my polar alignment, and I'm about to try to reframe it and actually get a decent picture of the Ring Nebula for everybody.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
But I did 2, and it's all smeary, and I'm not sure what's going on. So I took everything down, re-leveled it, and now I'm putting it back up again.
Okay, cool. And then Roy, your view, this is the Haulapai Valley Observatory?
Haulapai. Yes. That is a 106 millimeter refractor on a Paramount MX mount. It's got another 66 millimeter refractor on top of it. You can't really see very well. That's used for my guide scope. And then it's got an 8 megapixel monochrome camera on the back of it. And if you want to see what the full observatory looks like, we'll go here. And there's the night vision of the current observatory.
That's amazing.
So yes, I am totally green as well.
And you're completely remote now.
Yep, that's all solar powered. There is no electricity out there whatsoever.
And you can see the roof is rolled off there. That's really cool.
Yeah. And you can see up in the upper left, there's a star, but I don't know what it is.
And then we've got David here, and David has got his telescope there. You can see it just behind him there.
Yeah,
what's your telescope, David?
This is just a 8-inch Smitcast screen I bought back in the 90s. And the webcam I'm using for this is $20 Walmart special that's modified to hook into the with the barrel hooked onto it. That's just an 1.25-inch barrel that hooks into the diagonal there, and it does good for the moon, for planets, brighter double stars. It's got a very narrow fixed field of about maybe 10 by 10 arc minutes. So it's not a wide field camera, but I mean it works for a cheap modified device.
That's fantastic.
See, that's awesome. I might have students who are interested in getting into astrophotography. Some of them, have their own scopes, and nothing usually with tracking or anything. But I tell them, if you want to go get a webcam, again, like you just did, $20. You put something on it so it'll fit into an eyepiece holder, and I mean, you're tracking, but you could also let a planet or the moon drift through the field of view, and then put it through Registax or whatever, and bring out a great bit of detail with it. Yeah. So it's a great way to get into the hobby.
I use K3CCD tools, which used to be free, and until the guy got wise to it, and now he charges about $40 a subscription. But
I don't know if you noticed, but I posted my first astrophoto earlier this week.
Yeah.
Do you see that with my telescope? Yeah. So I've got my Celestron 114 here. Hold on, I'll just grab it.
It's so cute.
Why aren't you?
So I got a picture of the moon, but I'm already starting to sort of realize what I could have done better. So.
And actually, Fraser, if you want to see the ultimate in exotic observatories, you can take a look at my screenshot right now, which is a photo of what I used to be a member of.
Wow!
Actually, I was one of the founders, and we built these things. They sit across from New Mexico skies in New Mexico, and you actually might want to see if we could contact one of these guys, because these are pretty, as you can see, pretty exotic observatories. They were a bit too exotic for me, which is why I sold my interest. But it's called Orion, Optical Remote Observatory of New Mexico, and it's a kind of a cooperative effort between 4 guys. And,
I wonder if Peter Lick has a telescope near there. I think
we have a Peter, but it's Peter Finoff. Peter Finoff, Keith Allred, and Jay Potts, and then Chris Murray, who's the fellow I sold my interest to. Mine was the one on the far end.
Those are really cool, but I guess you get a really nice field of view when they're perched up like that.
Yeah, and it gets it up off of the ground, which eliminates some of the seeing issues that you have sitting on the ground like I am here.
So we just got a request for the Whirlpool Nebula, and I think that's what you're going after, right, Stuart?
No, I'm going after the ring, and
ring. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Still having some difficulties here, so I may cut out, but I'm going to give it a couple more times.
Okay. Well, so then, and also, Bill, you've replaced it with a new image. So what have we got?
Yeah, that is to NGC 7822.
Anyone know what that is?
Cedarblad 214 is another name for it.
It's a star-forming complex. So this is an area in the sky where the gas and dust is in the process of collapsing down, and it will be an open cluster in the not-too-distant future.
Not too distant, astronomically speaking.
That's true.
It's up in, I think it's Cassiopeia, I'm pretty sure, or just north of that.
And then, Gary, what have you got there?
This is NGC 6960, and it is another section of the Veil Nebula complex.
So just another section of this exploded star.
Yep. It's big.
Yeah. You guys have all got so many new objects here. Okay, Mike, what's that?
That one is the Cave Nebula. I can't remember off the top of my head what the NGC is for that one. Let me try and zoom on it here. I hear people clicking, so hopefully someone else is pulling that up.
I think it was a sharpless object. I've got an image from last year of it.
It's also Caldwell 9.
There we go. So again, this is, if you have the wider field of view, or even wider than this, is a great area nebulosity. And then I zoom in, but if you have a more focal length, you can get quite a bit of neat bit of color in here. Something you can image in red, green, and blue, and also narrowband works well with this.
It's a mostly red object, like so many of the things that we look at.
So someone just mentioned on YouTube, does anyone here visit the Cloudy Nights forums? That's a great forum. If you're into deep sky observing, astronomy, astrophotography, I would say that is the #1 place to go. So
and they were really good to us during the International Year of Astronomy and hosted the International IOA forums within their forums.
Yeah, that's a fantastic forum. So if you're interested in getting more into this, I mean, you go there and you've got probably 20 people posting pictures of Jupiter each day. You know, here's my shots of Jupiter. Yeah, it's a fantastic place. Highly recommend it.
Can I give a quick shout out to that as well?
I just did.
Okay, I go.
No,
Can I give you one more?
Yeah, sure.
I also want to give a credit to Roy here. When I realized what I was going to have to go through to put up an observatory, and I'd have to do solar, and it would be remote, and how do you do all this? First thing I did too was turn to the internet, and it was the Cloudy Nights. And I was searching around, and I came across this amazing observatory, and I heard of this guy named Roy. So it's a bit of an honor and a privilege to see him here. And it also shows you what the power of Cloudy Nights and the internet is. If you can think of a way to do it, the information's out there, and perhaps someone already has.
Yeah, they have the observatory forum on there that everybody posts in. How do I build it? How do I do this? And there's a running. You'll start up your own little discussion, and there'll be a running thread of the entire construction process of the entire thing, and then everybody can go back and look and see what you did and how you did it.
Yeah, highly. And if more people from Cloudy Nights want to join us, we'd be glad to have them. So we're getting
a request for the dumbbell nebula.
Yeah, and that's sort of Stuart's wheelhouse, but I know he's having trouble
I'm
aligning
still
right
struggling here.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah,
still love
that's
you, though.
another tiny one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so nice in color, right? So now I'm actually on Roy's image right now. So Roy, what is this?
This is the North American Nebula, NGC 2000 or 7000. Since it's so big and my field of view is not that big, this is going to be really in the center of it, so it's not even the full thing. This is probably maybe in the, I don't know, Gulf of Mexico area or something.
Yeah, that's go ahead, sorry.
It's a huge object. If I was to take and wanted to do the whole thing, I'd probably have to do a mosaic of probably about 6 frames.
Yeah. And as we mentioned, this is Gary's white whale. He's been planning to build a great big mosaic of it as well.
So yeah, this is the Gulf of Mexico region. So Florida, it's not shaped like Florida there, but it'd be the little protuberance off to the lower right there.
Over here.
And it's kind of fun. You're going back to pareidolia. Is that the right way of saying it? So, there's that bright star on the left edge of the Gulf of Mexico. That's right about where Houston is. There's that bright area in what would be, I guess, Mexico. I mean, that's kind of where the one Sierra range is in Mexico. So you can extend the metaphor a little bit farther here with the North American Nebula. So.
Someone just wanted to know how often we do our virtual star parties. So we do them every Sunday night. If you just stumbled upon this, we do this every Sunday night when it gets dark on the West Coast. So we usually start around 7:30 Pacific Daylight Time, 10:30 Eastern Time, and then we go for about an hour and a quarter or so. So we're probably stick around for another probably 15 minutes or so, and then I think we'll start to wrap this up. David, I'm not sure are you going to be able to get Jupiter at all in the last minute?
Right now, it's just clearing the trees over here. I can give it a try.
Yeah, if you could.
I don't know if you see the image I'm sharing up there right now, but that is actually the ISS that I've shot through the same scope.
Wow!
Showing up there.
Yeah, no, I can see it. This isn't live, of course, but this is a photo that you took?
This was done several months ago on an ISS pass, and that's manually tracked. And if you actually saw the video that I shot it on, the ISS is like skipping all around the image. That's one of the better images that I got right there. But you can actually see some of the structure.
Is that a single frame or a stack?
That's a single frame.
Okay.
Out of maybe a few thousand frames, when I'm hand tracking, it maybe shows up in a dozen frames.
Right.
So
it's quite surprising how often the International Space Station comes by, and one of the things that I really recommend is that if you use Twitter at all, follow an account called Twist, TWISST, and what they'll do is they will send you a notification whenever the International Space Station is about to go overhead for you. And so you'll get a message from them saying, the International Space Station is just about to go past your location, and then you go outside, and there it goes. It's fantastic. So never miss the space station. And it's great to take people outside and go, hey, you know what? We're going to see the space station in a second. And they're like, what? And then this big bright star just goes across the sky. So David, if you can get Jupiter, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm going to
it doesn't matter if it's.
It's going to be pretty
It's going to be horrible. I understand. Yeah, it's going to be right at the horizon. It's going to be in a lot of atmospheric disturbance. But we understand, and we will take what we can get. Now, Bill, I think you're breaking Fraser's rule. But that's okay.
It was another object that someone had just displayed.
No,
so
I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. It's awesome. Let's see it. But it's gone blank.
It's Cave
again.
Nebula again.
Yeah. Can you go back to it? It seems to have
hang on a second.
blanked out.
He's just kidding, but don't do it again.
Right. Well, the thing is, the thing is, it's great to show the astrophotos that we've taken, but we also want to be live, right? And so, otherwise, you might as well just show pictures from the Hubble Space Telescope.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it there.
I don't know. That's weird.
I'm getting a weird flashing.
I think Photoshop knew that you broke his rule, and
Yeah,
it's cowering in fear.
Well, if you could bring it back, it was a beautiful picture, so that would be fantastic.
I'll get it, one of these. I'm working on another one here while we're...
And Gary, what have you got?
This is NGC 6334.
This looks new to me.
Cat's paw. It's extremely low on my horizon.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can see the white area here is because I'm hitting the edge of my observatory. In fact, I'll show you real quick here.
You're about to bonk onto the side of your...
About.
Yeah.
Huh.
See, I'm almost horizontal. I'm shooting right at the horizon. I didn't know whether I could get this one or not.
Where's this? Oh, so Scott, have you got the object here? Okay.
Yeah, so here's the horizon. I'm about 20 miles from Gary, and it's right over here.
Yeah, that's really low.
But I thought I'd shoot for it.
I've never seen that. This is brand new for us, isn't it?
Yeah, this one is really far south. It's kind of it's one of those things that most people in the northern hemisphere really can't. Well, maybe not most people due to the population density, but a lot of people in the northern hemisphere can't see because it's so far south.
And a month ago, it was a little higher for me, but it was behind trees. So this gives me my clear shot out to the southwest, and that's going to be about it for that one.
Oh, that's fantastic. It absolutely looks like a cat's paw, like your cat has just taken a step in the mud or something and then on your floor.
And this is actually an object that was found by John Herschel, William Herschel's son. So it was found from the southern hemisphere initially.
That's really cool.
Again, if we have any observers from South America or whatever, this is going to be well placed for one of you, not so much for us here in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah. So, all right. So we've got Bill's image of the Cave Nebula. And so can you explain what went into taking a picture like this, Bill?
I'd have to look it up on my webpage to see exactly how many hours I had into that. But actually, I can find it pretty fast. I think it was taken with the Ritchie when that was on the mount, and let's see, that was 9.5 hours of luminance and 10 hours of color data. So a long time to get. And it seems like when I started imaging, and I was imaging. I think the first camera I used was an ST4, which was 192 by 600 and some pixels, I believe. Like it was a 0.3 megapixel, and that was like 1993. And you'd take images like we were doing tonight. They would be like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that, and you'd think, "Oh man, that's wonderful," because you were used to film. And now you see people that are taking images that are 100 hours of exposure in an image isn't unusual.
Well, the latest image from the Hubble Space Telescope they just released, the Extreme Deep Field Survey, was 2 million seconds, I think.
That's a lot. That's a lot of orbits.
I think that's actually minutes, isn't it? It's actually
days,
hours, days, weeks.
Yeah.
Well, consider there's about 31 million seconds in a year, so 2 million minutes. Yeah, that's you're not going to get that much time.
I'm guessing this isn't Jupiter, David.
No, it's not. Jupiter is just down below the trees, probably about another 10 minutes or so.
Another 10 minutes? Well, we'll probably still be here for another 10 minutes. Yeah, if you can, start tracking it, and then we can see it come through the trees. That would be cool.
Yeah, I can see it just down on the very edge of the treetops.
I don't mind if it's poking through the trees.
Let me try.
Yeah. Push it. This is you're about to discover that I will sort of drive your technology to the limits.
Don't break it for him.
Yes, don't break it.
What? How can we break it looking at the horizon? What could go wrong?
So many things could go wrong. So many things.
So, Mike, is this the double cluster? No.
That is a double-double. Yeah, we had a request out there, so that's one 30-second shot through a clear filter. So
and
whoever wanted it,
that's the double cluster in Perseus, right?
You know, I cheated. I went to the SkyX, typed in double-double, clicked, and away it is. So I'm going to rely on smart people for that one.
It's in Perseus.
Yeah.
It's down from Cassiopeia. If you, with a nice pair of 7x10 binoculars, if you get, if you have the W of Cassiopeia and you come 2 binocular fields perpendicular off of the bottom leg of the W, it takes you to the double cluster.
And I just want to remind everybody, if you're watching this either live or after the fact, and you're watching this just on YouTube, that you can click subscribe up there, and that will subscribe you to this channel, and then you'll get notifications as we post new videos. So, Roy has something new.
That is the Crescent Nebula.
Same thing as I've got.
Okay.
Oh, look at that! That's awesome. That's funny. So Bill and Roy both dug up the Crescent Nebula at the same time.
Yeah, this one is a 4-minute exposure through hydrogen alpha.
Mine's 5, also through hydrogen alpha.
And this is actually a slightly different nebula than many of the ones that we've looked at tonight. There's a very young, very hot star in the center of this, a Wolf-Rayet star, and its stellar winds are pushing out this bubble. So it's not a supernovae. It may become one in the future, but it's not currently. It's not a planetary nebula. This is just a bubble created by a young hot star.
So, and earlier we had the region around Gamma Cygni, around Satyr, and this is adjacent to that complex. Again, it's not part of that complex because it's a phenomena tied to this star, like Pamela was saying, but it's all right in that region of the sky. And from most of the U.S., I mean, this is right overhead for the West Coast right about now, but at about 8:30 p.m. local time at this time of year, it's right overhead.
And seeing the stuff that's right overhead is the best. That's where you have the least atmosphere. Yeah.
To give a comparison, Fraser, this one was done with a binning on the camera of 4x4, and I don't know what the other is.
What's the sampling on that in arc seconds? Do you know? Or
this is probably going to be maybe 6.
Okay, so this one's about 2, probably.
Yeah.
So a much wider field of view for Bill's view.
I like that area because it has so much nebulosity out and around it too. It's just filtered it.
That's a lovely picture. That's really nice. Yeah, we've seen the crescent a few times before, I think, but that's a really nice picture. 5 minutes. Wow. Okay.
It helps a lot to have the really narrow band hydrogen alpha, so you're not getting hardly any contamination from the moon. You get some, but 3 nanometers is, I think, pretty much as narrow as amateur filters.
You're running 3 nanometers?
Yeah, Astrodon 3 nanometers.
This is the 12.
So I wanted to run an idea past everybody here and sort of let me know what you think. I was thinking it would be kind of cool to do a Messier marathon. And either, I was thinking, get like Ahmet and, some of the people, David and stuff in Europe to join us, and then we'll do it simultaneously. I thought if we sort of hustled, we could do the whole Messier marathon in like a couple of hours.
I think it's the wrong time of year.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be March?
Yeah, it's March.
Wouldn't March be the time to do it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But I was just thinking it would be kind of cool that instead of waiting all night to do the Messier marathon, do the Messier marathon simultaneously across all the different time zones, right? So the people who are in the in the morning time would be able to get those objects, and then we could just bring them back over the course of a couple of hours.
So are you hosting all this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Like I said, we just need to bring on more astronomers in different time zones, and then just do it all simultaneously. Anyway, just an idea I had.
I'm sure we
agree.
Schedule something
it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would we have rapid fire commentary to go with this? Okay, here's...
Well, exactly. I was thinking we could put a checklist.
If we scheduled it ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'd schedule it. We'd have a checklist somewhere, and we could just be checking off the objects as we spot them. So, cool. All right. Well, I think we're starting to wrap up. David, any luck? I'm seeing something on David's view, but no.
Yeah, it keeps going in behind tree leaves here right now. It should be finally clearing the trees here in a moment.
All right. Well, we'll give it a couple more minutes. So let's we'll go through again and sort of thank everybody and sort of give people more information. So once again, to everybody, to all the astronomers who joined us this week, I really appreciate it. So, and Bill, welcome to the team. You did a fantastic job. It was great to have you join us, and you're welcome anytime. So
except for breaking the rules, I've covered
it fine. How do you won't know what the rules are until you push the limit. So no, I appreciate that.
Actually, I have a couple of friends. One of whom operates out of the observatory, the exotic one I showed you the picture of, and another one that's here locally in Oregon that I will try to talk into participating in the future. So that would probably be cool if I could get them to do that.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. It'd be
one
great
of them
to have
has
more
a couple of different instruments.
Oh, I think he lost his audio there.
The guy in New Mexico has a 16-inch Ritchie, so it's a biggie.
Yeah, it's good.
If it's dark there. So.
Perfect. Well, like I said, it was great to have you join us for the first time. You did a great job.
Thank you, Mike.
You're hired. and David, thanks for the wonderful attempt, but I think we'll see if it shows up before we reach the end of the people on my film strip here. But
yeah, I've got it in the eyepiece right now. Let's see if I can acquire it in the camera.
Oh, come on, do it! All right, cool. All right, well, thanks, Gary. Oh, Gary, you got one last object here. What do we got?
Yeah, one more. This is NGC 6914. It's in Cygnus. It's in that area with the North American Nebula, the Gamma Cygni, the right near the propeller. And I'm not sure if I'm actually on the object, but this is at least a piece of it.
That's fantastic.
With that region of the sky, it's basically just point and shoot, and you'll get something cool.
Yeah, totally. And thanks, Mike, and thanks for operating your telescope from San Diego, and thanks for revealing your lovely mustache. Well, someone mentioned it from Australia that we call this in Canada. We do this too. I'm surprised the Americans don't do this yet, but we call it Movember. So we have a fundraiser during the month of November, and everyone will grow a mustache. So there you go, Movember. Thank you, Pamela, for joining us and bringing the knowledge. Now, we're going to be recording Astronomy Cast tomorrow at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, 8 UTC, and the topic is Vesta. So now that Dawn has left Vesta, we're going to be able to talk about the science, show the pictures, and give everyone an update on that mission, and then I guess a bit of a sneak preview on what's going to happen next with Dawn. So that's going to be tomorrow at noon. Roy Salisbury, thank you very much for joining us. I'm so glad that you've got that remote observatory going now, that you can actually sit in your home in Las Vegas and be able to operate the equipment from remote. I'm sure that's saved you a lot of grief. And
I was so looking forward to it. I've been like the last week. I stay up till midnight every night, just sitting there taking images.
Very happy you're with us,
Roy.
Yeah.
Really thrilled you're with us this time, Roy.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's been great to have you, so it's great. Scott, thank you very much for joining us. And Scott, you're going to be doing a presentation about the virtual star parties, right?
Yeah, I'm working on the abstract right now for AAS. So with Pamela and Nicole, I believe Thad's going to be there as well. At least rumor has it. Plus many other awesome astronomers. It's the American Astronomical Society's conference in Long Beach in January. And yes, we will be talking about the virtual star parties and how awesome our entire global community is
and
for getting everyone together.
You're going to be at that one, Pamela?
Yes.
January. Maybe I should come down there. Okay. All right.
January 6th through 10.
All right. I'll think about it.
So speaking of that, actually, I'll screenshot this real quick. And you having Vesta tomorrow, over here at CosmoQuest.org, everyone has the opportunity to participate in mapping Vesta. So now that Dawn has just left, I believe, early September, you can go along and get started mapping the craters of Vesta, and they're awesome. The images on Vesta are absolutely beautiful, and you can go through participate in some actual scientific research, and keep contributing no matter what citizen science project we have. We're always growing them. We have an amazing forum there of the actual scientists that if you have questions, see something kind of odd, we will go ahead and help you out and try to get some answers there for you.
So not only are we trying to sort of show you the night sky, we explain it with the astronomy cast, and now we actually get your help doing science with things like asteroid mappers and moon mappers. So science for science.
Science.
Stuart, thank you very much. Sorry about all of your technical problems tonight.
No problem. Still working on it. Thanks.
Yeah, we could leave this image of Alberia up all night, though. I think it's all right. All right. Well, and thanks, Thad, for Dr. Szabo for bringing the science knowledge as well. And I think we'll end tonight on Jupiter.
It's
just
so
peeking.
cute.
Isn't it adorable there?
Jupiter. I think my scope's fogging up too.
I knew this wouldn't be the best possible Jupiter you could bring us, David. I'm willing to accept the compromises. The fact that we got to see it.
I don't see any impacts there, so.
Well, this is the first Jupiter that we've had back in the Star Party since we lost it back in the spring. So
there was
great.
I forget the name of the guy from the UK who had it here.
David brought it.
David brought it. That's right. That's right.
So,
right. No, for the US.
For the
North Americans.
For the US,
Yeah.
No, if we had an
Wonderful.
impact during the Star Party, that'd be totally cool.
That would be very cool.
That would be great. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, and we'll see you all next week right here on Google Plus, Sunday night when it gets dark on the West Coast. See everyone later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night. Thanks much. Good night.
Bye.